There exists a code older than iron, shaped not by hammers or flames, but by the trials of the human soul. It is proven not only on battlefields, but in silence within every decision, every breath, every moment when no eyes are watching. This code is called Bushido, the path of the warrior. It is not a checklist, nor a guide to violence. It is a way of being. 8 sacred virtues form its foundation, 8 pillars that elevate ordinary men into figures remembered long after their bodies turn to dust: righteousness, bravery, mercy, courtesy, truthfulness, integrity, devotion. Discipline. These virtues cannot be memorized. They must be forged. They are born through hardship, through mistakes, through the relentless choice to stand firm when surrender feels easier. During the era of the samurai in feudal Japan, these principles were not symbolic ideals. They defined survival. They separated true warriors from wanderers, the unbreakable from the fragile. This is the journey of Dai, a young samurai who inherited his father's sword but not his spirit. Though gifted with talent and privilege, he discovered that skill without substance is emptiness. His life would be shaped by 8 trials, one capable of destroying him or transforming him into something unshatterable. Bushido does not bargain. It does not bend. It does not adapt to comfort. You live it fully. You expose that you never understood it at all. Dai stood undefeated in his clan's training grounds. 19 years of life, 17 victories in succession, not a single defeat. His movements were precise, his reactions flawless, his form admired by all. Many whispered that he might surpass even his father, Masaru, of the Taita clan, who had fallen defending his lord years earlier. Yet Dai felt nothing. Each triumph felt empty. Praise echoed hollow. Alone his thoughts screamed with the truth. He could not escape. He was powerful, yet incomplete. One evening, his uncle and clan leader summoned him. He praised Dai's growing skill, then spoke of a visitor arriving at dawn. A wandering warrior, once bound by oath to Dai's father, coming to test him in ways no sword could. At sunrise, the Ronin waited. Face, but his presence carried weight. He introduced himself as Kenshin, his father's sworn brother. After watching Dai train, Kenshin spoke plainly. Dai could defeat others. Kenshin placed a pouch of gold before him. The money had been taken from a merchant who had unknowingly miscalculated a trade, harming the clan. The gold could be kept, the clan's honor restored. And no one would ever know. But Kenshin revealed the truth: the merchant was innocent. The loss would ruin him and his family. The test was clear: loyalty to expectation or loyalty to justice. Dai felt the pressure of reputation and obedience. Yet he remembered his father's belief that strength is choosing what is right, not what is easy. He refused the gold and ordered it returned. The first virtue awakened. Days later, Kenshin led Dai to a towering gorge. It's below, raging water crashed against stone. He handed Dai an old rope and ordered him to climb down and retrieve a stone marker from a narrow ledge. Fear seized him. The rope might hold aura. It might fail. But Kenshin reminded him that courage is not the absence of fear, but movement despite it. Dai descended, the rope strained. His hands bled. Halfway up, it began to fray. Terror surged, but he continued, forcing motion over panic. He reached the top, shaken but alive. He learned then that bravery is action taken while fear screams. The second virtue awakened. Weeks later, bandits were captured stealing rice. The law demanded death. Kenshin brought Dai to see them starving men, one barely more than a child. They had stolen to feed their families. Justice by law meant execution. Justice by humanity demanded mercy. Dai risked his standing by speaking before his uncle and the villagers. He argued that strength lies not only in punishment, but in compassion. Execution would satisfy anger. Mercy would preserve humanity. Banishment was granted instead. The condemned lived. The third virtue awakened. In the months that followed, Kenshin tested Dai's character further. When asked to teach a peasant swordsmanship, Dai showed the same respect he would offer a noble. It's given because character demands it. When questioned about the clan's readiness for war, Dai spoke uncomfortable truth rather than comforting lies, even at the risk of offending his uncle. Honesty. He learned serves reality, not ego. When insulted publicly by a rival samurai, Dai refused a duel. He understood that true honor is internal, not granted or stolen by another's words. Honor, he learned, cannot be shaken by opinion. Later, false accusations of treason threatened the clan. Many fled to save themselves. Dai stayed. Understood. It only matters when it costs something, especially everything. His choice echoed his father's sacrifice. The seventh virtue awakened. Finally, the rival samurai returned, demanding a duel to the death. Dai had every reason to accept skill, justification, certainty of victory. But Kenshin asked one final question. What does proving yourself to someone else truly prove? Dai realized the greatest enemy was not the rivalet, was his own ego. He declined the duel not from fear, but mastery. He refused to be controlled by provocation. The final virtue awakened, self-control. Months later, Dai was no longer defined by technique or reputation. He moved with quiet certainty. The virtues were no longer practices, they were instinct. When faced with corruption, he chose righteousness. When danger appeared, he moved forward. When suffering arose, he protected. When addressed, he spoke truth. When insulted, he remained unmoved. When others fled, he stood firm. When provoked, he mastered himself. Bushido was no longer something he followed. It was something he was. Years later, students sought him not for swordplay, but for guidance. Dai taught them the same truth Kenshin taught him. The code cannot be handed down. It must be discovered through trial, choice, and sacrifice. When Kenshin finally departed, he told Dai that mastery of self mattered more than mastery of steel. Dai understood. Long after battles faded from memory, Dai became known not for conquest, but for being unbreakable. His strength came not from force, but from character forged daily. Bushido lived on not as history, not as legend, but as identity. A code older than steel, stronger than death, endless in those willing to carry it. And legends, born of such a code, never fade.